Hey, what up, guys? Coming to you this morning with the Saturday, November 23rd weekend recap. We had 3 cards on that day. 2 were on DAZN, 1 was on Fox pay-per-view. We're gonna break them down from how they happened and basically from which they happened. We'll start with the England card. There's only 1 fight to talk about. It was the main event of a DAZN card. It was Callum Smith against John Ryder. Callum Smith was the WBA super middleweight super champion coming into the fight, and it looked like he was going to have an easy time with John Ryder, and it ended up not being so easy of a time. Smith walked out of there with a unanimous decision. I think he really got a generous scores there. One judge had him winning 9 rounds to 3, and the other two judges had him winning 8 rounds to 4. And I just thought they were smoking. I mean, that I didn't officially score the fight, but John Ryder seemed to be putting it on Callum Smith. Now, Smith was landing punches. He was boxing decent, but he was getting hit, and the pace was being dictated by John Ryder getting him against the ropes. So, I thought the fight was closer. I don't have a problem with Smith winning a close decision, 7 rounds to 5. Or maybe a majority or split decision because it was that close. But Smith, I think, got away with some generous scores here. It wasn't the most controversial fight I've ever seen, but, or even to where I think it was a robbery. I could say robbery, but I think John Ryder was definitely in that fight. Whatever reasons, Callum Smith didn't decide to show up at his best. I don't know if it's just taking on a lesser-known guy, not in the top 10 like John Ryder, if that just didn't inspire him to get up for the fight. He's been waiting around for a big fight since he won the World Boxing Super Series. That was over a year ago. I know that's frustrating, being with Eddie Hearn, and not a lot of guys fighting for DAZN, and him not being able to land a big fight all of 2019 has probably been frustrating. I think that maybe him overlooking John Ryder kind of had something to do with it. But you know what? I do have an interesting theory, because I really believe that this could have something to do with it, and I think it could be that Callum Smith was kind of just going in and letting John Ryder in that fight, and didn't want to look extremely good because of possibly landing a big fight and having one of the bigger name fighters getting in the ring with them because he didn't look too good. I think guys are more willing to do that these days. I think they noticed from the Triple G Canelo saga that Canelo didn't fight Triple G until Triple G didn't look like his dominant self against Daniel Jacobs. I think people are using that as a kind of a measuring stick. The problem is I don't think Triple G was trying to look bad against Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs is a live fighter, a very legit former 2-time champ now, and I don't think he was trying to look bad against him. I think Jacobs was just a lot bigger the night of the fight, and also a very good fighter. So, I think if they're going to use that, to try to get big fights, they need to be careful, because I don't think Callum Smith sold himself in this fight at all. And, he got the decision, but we'll talk about his what's next later on Sunday. But yeah, that was my opinion on that fight. Now we'll go into the other DAZN card. We had 2 fights to talk about. You had on the undercard in the co-feature, Xu Can of China, the WBA featherweight champion. He defended his title against Manny Robles, undefeated prospect who's fighting for Golden Boy. Can came out and dominated Robles. I mean, he more than doubled the punch output and connect rate. He was just on it. He looked really good against an undefeated prospect, who's trying to make a name for himself. Can just dominated him with ease. Nice win for him as he retains his world title. And really, he's going to get an award. He's probably going to get featherweight of the year. He quietly flew under the radar and did it, but he's an exciting fighter. He looked really good. And I hope somebody gives him an opportunity next. I hope one of the bigger names, featherweight's kind of wide open right now, but I would love to see maybe Can fight Carl Frampton, who's looking for a title shot. I would love to see that. So just got to wait and see. But yeah, Can really sold himself. He looked good in that co-feature and kept his title. And then in the main event, you had a rematch between Andrew Cancio and Rene Alvarado as they collided for the WBA super featherweight regular championship. That's 130 pounds. Cancio was coming off back-to-back knockout wins of Alberto Machado, where he upset Machado. Actually, both times they were considered upsets. And then Alvarado, has won 7 straight fights since losing to Cancio back in 2015. Cancio looked good though, and he looked good coming in, before the fight. He's been looking good. Alvarado, I haven't really been impressed with who he's beaten in that time frame, those 7 fights. However, he came in and he got his revenge. Rene Alvarado surprised a lot of people as he dominated Andrew Cancio from start to finish and stopped him in the 7th round. 1 round faster than Cancio knocked him out back in 2015. Alvarado becomes a world champion for his first time. He went from journeyman to world champion. So congratulations to Rene Alvarado. Big time win right there. Tough break for Andrew Cancio, who really made his name for himself earlier this year with those knockouts of Alberto Machado. But that's boxing, You can never, hold on to the belt if you're overlooking guys or if you just don't think that guy is as good as he was before. And I think maybe that was Cancio's mistake here. He went in and maybe thought Alvarado was going to be the same Alvarado, and Alvarado came out and kicked his ass. So impressive win for Alvarado. Got the win, new world champion. Congrats to him. And, we'll talk about his what's next on Sunday. And now we get into the big card from Saturday, the 23rd, Fox pay-per-view. You had, there's 3 fights to talk about here. Actually, the first fight was a pretty good knockout. It was a rematch. So I'll talk about that one. A 4th fight, Rances Barthelemy, his little brother, Ladon Barthelemy, took on, I think it was Eduardo Ramirez, and got knocked out in a rematch. It was a good fight. He got knocked out pretty clean. And, pretty good knockout. Didn't really no impact on the top 10, but pretty good knockout, to start the card. But the other fights on there, the second fight saw Brandon Figueroa undefeated and the new WBA champion, as he was just upgraded to world champion. He was defending his title against former champ Julio Ceja. Ceja came in overweight. He didn't even try to make weight. The weight was 122. He came in at 126.5, so way overweight was Ceja. And it ended up being a fucking war, though. These 2 guys went at it. It was a great fight. I think they said CompuBox numbers, they finished top 5 for punches thrown. Great toe-to-toe battle. It went to the scorecards and was declared a draw. I thought that was about fair, but Figueroa came out and said, well, if Ceja would have came in on weight, it wouldn't even have been close. You know what? I don't want to hear that shit. Maybe that's true. Maybe him being overweight had something to do with it, but I don't think being overweight changes the kind of chin the guy has, to be honest. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I don't think that helps you get a better chin. And he rocked him early, but I just think he faded, and I don't think he was ready for the output that Ceja was ready to bring him. And Ceja looked good against Guillermo Rigondeaux, but he got knocked out against Rigondeaux because Rigondeaux caught him with a clean punch. So for me, Figueroa, I don't think I'm going to drop him at all, but I don't think he didn't really impress me to where and show me that he's truly top 5 worthy, because I thought a big win was gonna get him top 5 worthy, and it just didn't. So I still like Brandon Figueroa. He's very young. I think he's only 22 or 23, and I think he's got a future. But last night he just kind of looked like his brother. He didn't look like anything special. I never thought his brother Omar was really all that special. He's just a guy that comes to go to war. It sets them up for a short career, because there's only so many wars you can have. Most of the time, guys like this, their careers are over right at 30 years old. So Figueroa is young. I don't think he needs to get in that many wars, but if that's the kind of style he wants to do, then fine. He's still entertaining as fuck. It was a good fight, but I was expecting more. Not sure what he does next from here, but I'm sure he's just going to continue to test his waters at 122. Maybe Sehal will come in on weight next time and they'll rematch. So that would be a great rematch. So we'll see. Now to the co-feature. It saw Jesus Christ, why am I drawing a blank on the co-feature from the it was Leo Santa Cruz against Miguel Flores. No surprise here. It went exactly the way I thought it was going to go. Santa Cruz outworked the guy, a lesser fighter, captured another world title in a 4th weight class against some nobody in Flores. Flores put up a decent fight, but he really wasn't as competitive as anybody, nobody thought he was going to be that competitive. So no surprise here. Not impressed with Santa Cruz and his opponent selection for a couple years now. And, he is I still think he's a good fighter, but he's got to test himself against the best. He said after the fight he wants Gervonta Davis or Gary Russell. Gary Russell's possible. Gary Russell would move up to 130 to fight him for that world title. Gervonta Davis, he'd have to jump up to 135, so I don't see that one. If he really wants Gary Russell, that fight can be made next, and I hope he does, and I hope it happens, because both guys need to test themselves against the best and get in the ring, and I think Russell is more than willing to fight him at whatever weight, but Santa Cruz says he wants to stay at 130. So I think Gary Russell's going to move up and face him at 130 if Santa Cruz is serious, but we'll see. And now the main event. You had Deontay Wilder defending his heavyweight championship against Luis Ortiz in a rematch from their March 2018 bout in which Wilder stopped Ortiz in the 10th round of a war. This fight went a lot like the first fight. Wilder was very patient, and actually Ortiz was doing better halfway through this fight. He never really got hurt by Wilder at all through 6 rounds. And I had Ortiz winning 4 rounds to 2. And you know what? He was winning that 7th round. And Wilder, I mean, what can you say about the guy? The guy is just fucking insane with his power. He landed a beautiful right hand right down the middle. Ortiz tried to block it. He was just late on the block, and he got caught flush. He got put down. He was out. I mean, the referee made the right call once he got up, but Ortiz was out on his feet, and I'm surprised he got up at all. That just shows the kind of fighter he is. But, yeah, I mean, Wilder, just the guy, I've never said this ever about a fighter, and I keep saying it now, and I'm shocked. Actually sucks in a way, but it speaks to how powerful Wilder is, that all it takes is him to land one big shot, and he can beat anybody in the heavyweight division. He doesn't need to be the most skilled fighter to be an elite fighter, and I'm not used to that, but hey, that's the way it is with Deontay Wilder. It was a great win. He left no doubt that he can knock this guy out within 12 rounds. I mean, you can call it what you want, who the better guy is. The better guy is whoever gets his hand raised after a convincing victory. And Wilder got another one of those. He left no doubt that, hey, it doesn't matter if Ortiz is a better boxer or if Ortiz has good power. Ortiz couldn't knock Wilder out in all that time. I think he stunned him a couple times, but nothing major. And then he got caught with a flush right hand right down the pipe, and laid out. And Deontay Wilder, still the heavyweight champion of the world. So big win there. Tomorrow I'm going to do the aftermath of this fight, what it means for boxing, stuff like that. And then we'll talk about Deontay Wilder's what's next and Luis Ortiz's what's next on Sunday. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this weekend recap from November 23rd. A lot of fights happened that day. True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.